Ladies and gentlemen, as you're finishing up your desserts and coffee, we have some prizes that we'd like to award at this time. And I would ask that you take your program of a book, 88 Years of Puck Chasing in Saskatchewan. He's here tonight to tell us some great stories of baseball. Would you please give a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Mr. Joe Stenen.
Thank you, David. The last issue of the Baseball News North Battleford indicated that Dave was having some trouble getting a guest speaker. So on kind of a whim, I phoned him and I said, well, Dave, if you got nobody else, I'll leave the bench and come and pitch in for you. So here I am tonight. I do believe that I can maybe entertain you with some baseball stories. You know, they're writing a baseball history of Saskatchewan. I gave thought to writing that at one time myself. After doing the hockey history, which took me about 10 years for helping to do it, I just didn't think I wanted to put myself into such a position again. But in any event, I have followed the baseball scene very closely for many years. First experience with baseball, we lived on a farm near Kelston, just outside of town. When I was about 7 years old, I wandered over to the school baseball diamond. And they were playing a game called Scrub. And you know what Scrub is? Did you ever play Scrub? No? Some of you did, you must have. Well, anyway, here I'm 7 years old, and this guy's all the way up to 20 years old. So what you do, you start in the outfield and you work your way around till you get up to bat. And anyway, it's my turn to catch. And Paul tipped at me in the chin and should have cured me, I guess, the baseball, but nevertheless, I shook myself and got up and finished the evening. And eventually, I got on a regular team and we did play some baseball. In any event, I have to go back a little bit. The first game of baseball was recorded, it was played in New York, 1839, which is about 140 years ago or so. Baseball came to Canada about the same time. In fact, I think Dave Shurey and other people might try to make you believe that baseball was played in Canada in 1838, so we maybe played it before they did in the States. Baseball, of course, is an offshoot of a couple other games that use the ball, cricket and rounders, which came from England. And they were adapted for baseball. I'm not sure whether they all came from Ontario, because at that time I don't think there were too many American people up there. However, Paul's doing the history of baseball in Saskatchewan. He can probably research that a bit to find out who was on that team. And I haven't got time to, Paul. So anyway, that's how baseball got started in Saskatchewan in 1879. And after that, it took off in Regina and a place in the south. Saskatoon actually didn't have baseball because most of the people come out there. Even in 1903 at Saskatoon only had about 700 people or something. And most of them were temperance colony people from England who played soccer and not baseball. So baseball in Saskatoon is a little behind Regina. Some things they are behind Regina, but not everything. So we got baseball started, and there are a few things that I'd like to reminisce about in baseball. Of course, We used to have touring ball teams come through the province. First one was called the Bloomer Girls, came through in 1912. They were an all-girls team. Shelbrook, Roster, and Blaine Lake. But then there was the big tournaments, ones where they had thousands of dollars in prizes and thousands of people. I was at a tournament in Indian Head in 1951. I think there were 10,000 people there. Bone Lake had a big tournament.
Tonight, somewhere in the room, is Senator Herb Sparrow. Senator Sparrow, at the back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to take a short pause while we have the tables cleared, co-authoring, along with Dave Shurey, a book entitled The History of Saskatchewan Baseball, which Dave says should be out sometime in 1995. If I ever, in my lifetime, are selected to a Hall of Fame, I hope that this man is around to induct me, because he does such a terrific job. Would you welcome Mr. Paul Hack?
Chairman David, honored guests, and a fantastic head table if they were ever on one ball team. Wow. We should be wearing black armbands. Do you realize the only thing that's happening in baseball now is this Hall of Fame dinner? Successful because of the love of baseball, and greed does not enter into the picture. David Decker, you make the Hall of Fame. I'll be at your induction ceremony. Well, I'm pretty old myself, fella. I'll hang in there. We've got Joe, whose mind is still going like crazy. Stan Dean, who recently celebrated a birthday, 80 years young. And there's so much history in baseball, ladies and gentlemen, that collectively, from these people, I hope you get a chance to share it. The first inductee is Doug Simon. Now, Doug was born on the 5th of May, 1950. His birthplace was Regina. He received his secondary education in the Queen City at Battleford Tech, and then spent 1971 and 72 at the University of Regina. Now, from 1973 to 1975, he attended Washington State University on a baseball scholarship. At WSU, he attained all-conference standing for the Pacific 8 in 1973, Northern Division All-Star in 1974, and All-American rating in 1975. Most of his time in senior baseball was spent as a player and coach of the Regina Red Sox from 1968 to 1980. He was selected to several All-Star squads, and his hitting earned him a couple of batting titles. He once belted 3 home runs in a game. He also collected 13 total bases in one game, and in one game came up with 9 RBIs. Now they call them ribbies. There's no such thing. Ribbies is spelled R-I-B-B-E-Y-S. 1978. Canadian Sports Hall of Fame, 1975. And Outstanding College Athletics of America in 1974. Oops, I forgot one. Doug Simon, we got one more into the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame. Went into partnership in North Battleford. 2 years later, Abbott Drugstore became a household name until 1963. Jack pitched for a number of teams for North Battleford clubs in a local merchants league. He also did some umpiring, but his claim to fame was his administrative ability. He was part of every North Battleford executive in the 1930s and the 1940s. He was chairman of the famous North Battleford tournament during Fair Week in the 1930s and the 1940s. In 1947, he spearheaded the North Battleford entry into the Saskatoon District League, and that led to the formation of the Western Canada Baseball League. Jack was instrumental in building a baseball park that bears his name, Abbott Field. He managed the Beavers until the time of his death, July 12, 1950. Whenever you think about Abbott Field, you think of Jack Abbott. The late Jack Abbott is represented tonight by his son, Lyle. So Lyle, for your dad, Jack Abbott, I think the best gift that we can give to Jack and to the Abbott family is his enshrining in the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame. Well, obviously permission was granted. There were only 13 players on the roster. The name of the game was versatility. You played wherever you were needed. They had catcher Dwight Fanchar, pitchers Lorne Davis, Merv Danbrook, Robert McLean. Now Lorne and Robert also played shortstop. At first base, Bill Reed. Second base, Claire Hebron. Third base, Cliff Rodman. In left field, Larry Brossard and Alan Fitzsimmons. In center field, Archie Bruce. In right field, Reg Danbrook and Rick Davis. Einar Orpin, who was also a top-notch curler, was a playing coach. And the others associated with the team were Coach Jim King, who is here tonight, at least representing the team for the induction, President Bill Bridges, along with manager Travis. So the first hurdle was the Southern Final. Govan beat Assiniboia 2-1, although Assiniboia had won Game 2 with a 15-2 thumping. The Angels then met up with the Prince Albert Bows. He continued playing in the Dundurn area until 1951 when he moved to Saskatoon. He was player-coach for Northern Transport and Empire Freightways of the Saskatoon and District League. In 1960, Dunbar hung up his glove and cleats and went full tilt into coaching the Montgomery Indians from Sandlot right up to juvenile. In 1963, he became a director of the Saskatchewan Baseball Association, and 2 years later, following a clinic in Montreal, returned to conduct clinics in Saskatchewan. In 1981, his coaching days were over. During his coaching days, he was considered a tireless coach, always demanding the best from his players and trying to instill in them fair play and good sportsmanship. It's a pleasure to place our next inductee into the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame, Lloyd Dunbar. January 28, 1933. At the age of 16, he was playing junior baseball and soon after moved up to the senior team. His minor league coaches, Harvey Housen and Ross Allen, taught him well. In the 1950s, he pitched and played center field for Unity, North Battleford, and Lloydminster, and he also spent some time with the Kindersley Clippers. In 1960, as a player coach, he returned to Unity and turned the Cardinals into a well-oiled competitive machine. Over a 12-year span, the Cards won several major tournaments, including 5 Saskatoon exhibition tournaments. In 1972, the Cards won the Canadian Senior Championship, and I might add that team is already enshrined in the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame. Earl's job took him to Moose Jaw, but he refused to sit on the sidelines. He organized the Moose Jaw Midget Cardinals, a team that he still coaches. And the Cards have won 2 Saskatchewan Bantam Crowns, 2 Saskatchewan Midget titles, and a Western Canada Championship in 1991. Says Earl, I was lucky to be part of so many good teams. I recall many highs and lows, but I will always cherish the memory of meeting so many people through baseball. Well, Earl Flanagan, you've been good to baseball too. Now it's time for baseball to be good to you. Our official entry list has now grown to include Earl Flanagan in the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame. He was also going into the Hall. Jerry was born in Unity, November 1st, 1932, and spent most of his baseball time in Kindersley. For 20 years, he showed his stuff for the Clippers in the North Saskatchewan League. Periodically, the club played interlocking play games with teams in the southern Saskatchewan and the Alberta Major Leagues. Playing in the Saskatoon Exhibition Tournament was a thrill for Jerry. He also went to the Lacombe Tournament 8 times, and I'll tell you, that's a tough tournament. In his later playing days, he also found the time to coach the Pee-wee and midget teams. And when his playing days were over, he started managing the Clippers. He was also a groundskeeper. He umpired for many years. When the Clippers disbanded, Jerry started a junior club, and the club started out participating in the Northeast Alberta League. Eventually, the team became the Kindersley Royals of the Saskatchewan Major League. This team won the Lacombe Tournament in 1983 and the Saskatchewan Major Championship in 1984. Lately, Kindersley has been the center for many prestigious events. Jerry's had a hand in all of them. The Western Canada Junior Championship, 1983. The World Youth Championships in 1984. That's the tournament where Juan Guzman pitched. The Pacific Cup Tournament in 1986. Jerry still lives in Kindersley, still active in baseball, and has been a tireless worker for the Saskatchewan Baseball Association. It's a real pleasure then, Jerry, to reward you for all of your efforts by placing you in the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame. Sometime afterwards, too, so don't worry. Our next inductee is Ralph Karst. He was born in Rock Glen on February the 22nd, 1937, and has lived on a farm 9.5 miles southeast of Rock Glen all of his life. As a youngster, the stairs broke. That was my shorts. Karst, did you have a hand in this? Anyways, as a youngster, Ralph pitched and played the outfield for Rockland teams. He drove a few catchers crazy, so I've been told, because he was a pretty good base stealer. And when his playing days were over, Ralph still played with the game, still stayed with it, basically as a sponsor and a coach. And then when his eyesight started to fail, he did some umpiring. Sorry, I read that wrong. No, that's what it says. 1955, he was one of the founders of Rockland's South Country team. He has coached for almost 40 years from the Beaver Division right up to the senior ranks. And one season, he was asked to coach 9 teams. One of the many highlights of Ralph's career took place when he pitched Rock Glen to a thrilling 1-0 win over Scobie, Montana in a tournament. He also got Rock Glen a part in Saskatchewan's oldest league, that's the Dunning League, and he's helped organize old-timers baseball in the area. He's a historian. He's collected thousands of photographs and has stories galore of the history of baseball in a large area in south-central Saskatchewan. In 1993, the Saskatchewan Baseball Association named him Coach of the Year. Since 1989, he's been a member of the Advisory Council of the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. The Karst Farm, by the way, has its own version of Field of Dreams. 2 ball diamonds are located on his farm. After all, Ralph, if you build it, they'll come. He spent money out of his own pocket. He spent time and energy. He's taken part in all facets of the game. He's a player, coach, manager, sponsor, umpire, scorekeeper, announcer. Boy, you can't keep a good man down. and you can't keep this guy out of the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame. The spot is waiting for you, Ralph Carson. Our next inductee is Gust Koroluk. On October 27, 1927, Gust was born on a farm near Hyas. He attended Lake Helen School, then moved into the Frame Lake area. He was married in 1950 and helped to raise 3 children. He was the mainstay of the Stenen Ball Club, helping them win 19 Northeast Saskatchewan championships. He was with Priestville in 1965, when that club captured the Gary League crown. Stenen's last championship occurred in 1975. And who was that tough old 49-year-old veteran pitching? Gust Koroluk. And what a pitcher he was. Crowds overflowed at league and tournament games just to see Gust pitch. His specialties were a curve and the changeup, but he also knew how to throw the fastball. He had one of the best pickoff moves in the game. At bat, Koroluk hit plenty of home runs. He rarely struck out. He could throw sidearm or overarm, didn't matter. Batters often had their bat on their shoulders with their mouths open. You try hitting a ball that way. In 1974, Gust won 4 games and lost 2 over 26 innings of work. He did strike out 30. He won 3 playoff games, and he did this when he was 47 years old. No, he's still playing ball today in a seniors slow pitch league in Regina. Baseball and Gust. That's like bacon and eggs. So Gust Koroluk, welcome into the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame.
What?
Linnell had some great years participating in the Saskatoon Exhibition Tournament. And when the North Battleford Beavers entered the Western Canada League, Linnell suited up with the Beavers. He was a solid outfielder, specialized in hitting the long ball. Oh, periodically he'd take a turn on the mound, and his curveball kept many opposing players off stride. In 1976, Mickey, along with Art Struve and Don Stinsky, put together the North Battleford Old Timers. This association in Twilight Baseball continued for 6 years. He played his last game in 1982. Linnell also gave it his time and energy as a member of the Saskatchewan Baseball Association. He was also heavily involved with the Saskatchewan Special Olympics program at the zone, the national, and international levels. Mickey died on July the 13th, 1990. And to accept his award, his widow Norma is present tonight. We welcome her as we pay tribute to Mickey Linnell on his induction into the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame. Our next inductee is Randy Monk. It was August 23rd, 1944, and the Monk household in Esterhazy welcomed a bouncing baby boy. They named him Randy. He played minor ball in Esterhazy, then joined the Melville Millionaires of the Southern League. In 1966, he won Rookie of the Year honors. 1967 was another big year for Randy. He graduated from the University of Saskatchewan with an engineering degree. Joined the City of Saskatoon Waterworks Department. Played ball with the Saskatoon Commodores. Was named to the Northern Saskatchewan League's All-Star team at shortstop. He missed only one round of the playoffs. That was to go on his honeymoon. You see where his priorities lie. Randy was an outstanding player with the Commodores, and a few of his many accomplishments are noted. Drove in the only 2 runs in a tough 3-2 loss to British Columbia. The Saskatoon won a silver medal at the 1970 Canadian Championship. In 1971, he led the league in stolen bases, was named to the All-Star team, also named to Canada's national team, and competed in the World Championship. From 1972 to 75, he was an All-Star shortstop and played in 3 more Canadian championships. From 76 to 80, he played with the Unity Cardinals and again played in 3 more Canadian championships. When his playing days were over, so he thought, Randy went into coaching. He's a level 3 instructor and was named head coach of the Saskatoon Nationals. In the late 1980s, he began his involvement with the Saskatchewan Midget Selects program, and he worked as a guest instructor with Canada's national youth team. He helped out with Team Saskatchewan and the Canada Games team. He's been a positive force in developing ball players. Last year, Randy took part in an old-timers tournament in Phoenix. He's married, he has 2 daughters, they're both in university. Randy Monk, as you can attest to, was a highly skilled ball player, then became a highly skilled technician. He's recommended as a great teacher. The doors are open for you, Randy, so come on in. We're waiting for you in the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame. Make it in baseball, we could have made it in vaudeville. Hack and stack. Gee, I can see it now. Whoa! We'd have been brilliant. Of course, we'd have had a lot of fruit thrown at us, but Mother always said I bear fruit. But anyways, that's beside the point. Les was born in Asquith, December 2nd, 1933. At an early age, he took an interest in all sports, but his love was baseball. And that blossomed while he was a student at St. Thomas College in Battleford. Les was one of the original players when Asquith, under the guidance of Gordon McTavish, formed a team in 1952. Asquith participated in many tournaments and often came out on top. Stack also played with the Delisle Gems of the Saskatoon and District Junior League. He saw service with the Saskatoon Gems. And with Asquith, Les took part in several Saskatoon exhibition tournaments. With Bill Cleghorn as manager, Asquith won that tournament in 1965. One year, Les took top money as a leading hitter. He also attended the exhibition tournament when he played with Langham. At one time, 5 teams made up the Midwest Baseball League. Les played with Asquith against Eston, Rosetown, Saskatoon Windsors, and the Saskatoon T-Birds. And at the same time, Les was also showing his stuff for bigger in the North Sask League. Lacombe, Alberta, for many years, hosted the big ball tournament, and while a member of the Saskatoon Commodores, Les took part in that gala event. Les still farms at Asquith. His wife and 3 children are very proud of him. Well, I'll tell you, the Saskatchewan Baseball Hall of Fame is equally proud of his accomplishments. The hall is waiting to accept Les Stack. Allowing me to be part of your program, and also an invitation to my wife, Shirley. We always enjoy ourselves here. Thank you so much for having us back.